Front page of the Sun newspaper, royal exclusive, Fergie time. Sarah Ferguson, formerly the Duchess of York, of course, is considering offers for a tell-all TV interview in the wake of her public downfall over links to sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein.
In a whirlwind of scandal and broken loyalties, Sarah Ferguson's name has been tied to a shocking decision that has stunned royal watchers. But now, explosive revelations about her sudden break from Andrew are shedding light on motives no one expected. What is the truth about Fergie's dramatic move? What Sarah Ferguson has really done behind closed doors has shocked even those who thought they knew the full story. Sources have come forward exposing details of a decision marked by calculation, self-preservation, and a disturbing sense that loyalty only lasted as long as the benefits did. These claims paint a troubling picture of a woman who seemed perfectly willing to stand by Andrew through scandal after scandal until the moment it no longer served her interests. The shocking truth about her timing is finally being revealed, and it's more disturbing than anyone could have imagined.
A source told The Sun Andrew's had his chance to tell his story. Now it's Fergie's time. This could be a major headache for the king, couldn't it, Paul?
Headache.
Sarah Ferguson has reportedly done something she has not done in decades. According to a new claim, she has finally cut off all contact with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Not stepped back, not taken a pause, cut off. That is the wording being used by royal commentator Rob Shooter, who says insiders close to the situation insist this is not about morals or making a statement. They say it is about survival. After years of standing publicly beside Andrew, even when it damaged her own standing, Sarah Ferguson may have decided that staying close to him is no longer worth the cost. And if that sounds dramatic, wait until you hear the reason being given. According to Shooter's sources, the break has less to do with Andrew himself and more to do with what he can no longer provide. One insider put it bluntly, saying he could no longer offer a free home, zero rent, and that now she is out. The same source claims Sarah is fed up with living in what they described as Andrew's mess, and that distancing herself now might save what little reputation she has left.
Have the protection of the royal family, and she's going to need to make money. This six-figure fee will become seven figures. The juicier the gossip is,
yes.
So she's going to be sort of pushed towards saying as much as she possibly can. I think there's going to be a lot of squeaky bums at the palace right now, Mark. I think it potentially could be a big issue.
That is a sharp turn from the woman who spent years defending him, appearing alongside him, and maintaining what many called an unusually close relationship for a divorced couple. For decades, Sarah Ferguson and Andrew presented a united front. Even after their divorce in 1996, they continued to live together at Royal Lodge, raised their daughters together, holidayed together, and publicly supported one another through scandal after scandal. That closeness raised eyebrows for years, especially as Andrew's controversies mounted, but Sarah never wavered, at least not publicly, until now.
Shedding a tear for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor because it looks like his kids aren't going to hang out with him this festive period.
No, Beatrice is saying she's going off skiing, and I think she's slightly in a rock and a hard place because, if she goes to Andrew, what does that say? If she goes to the King and Sandringham, what does that say? So it's almost like easier, right, let's just go and have some fun with some mates skiing over Christmas.
The timing of this alleged break is important. These claims surfaced just days after reports emerged that Princess Eugenie has also cut off contact with her father. According to the Mail on Sunday, citing palace sources, Eugenie is no longer speaking to Andrew at all. It was reported that she did not visit him over Christmas and has chosen to distance herself completely. One insider described the difference between the two sisters quite clearly. They said Beatrice is trying to walk a fine line, staying connected to her father while also remaining close to the royal family. Eugenie, on the other hand, is not walking that line at all. She is simply not speaking to him.
Andrew's brought it about himself, and, ultimately his actions have led to his downfall, and it sounds like he'll have a pretty lonely Christmas.
That says something, because for years, Eugenie was seen as Andrew's strongest ally within the family. She defended him publicly, stood by him privately, and appeared unwilling to let go even as pressure mounted. If both Sarah Ferguson and Princess Eugenie are now stepping away, it suggests something more than a temporary rift. Rob Shooter's report frames Sarah's decision as calculated, but not in a grand or strategic way. Instead, it's described as damage control, arriving late and under pressure. One confidant reportedly said Andrew's problems are her problems, and that she benefited from her association with him for years. The same source suggested that now that the perks are gone, so is her loyalty. That is a harsh assessment, but it reflects a view held by many royal watchers who have long questioned whether Sarah's support was rooted in affection, necessity, or convenience. Sources also claim Sarah wants to appear independent and unburdened. Friends, however, are said to be skeptical. One source told Shooter they are not buying the sudden reinvention, pointing out how deeply embedded she's been in Andrew's world for decades. And that raises the question of whether a clean break is even possible. The two share daughters, a long history, and overlapping social circles.
Yeah, the public was not certainly happy with that. There was certainly calls for her to stand on her own 2 feet. Why on earth was she still living in a royal residence, even though she's been divorced from Andrew for 30-odd years? So,
even if contact has been reduced or paused, insiders suggest the separation will not be simple or permanent behind the scenes. One friend reportedly said Sarah has realized she does not need Andrew or his drama anymore. Another warned that getting away from both his issues and her own role in them will not be easy. There is also the practical question of where Sarah goes from here, with Andrew reportedly preparing to leave Royal Lodge and downsize the living. Arrangements that kept them intertwined may finally be coming to an end. That alone changes the dynamic. For years, proximity made separation difficult, both logistically and emotionally.
and she will have to stand on her own 2 feet now. There is absolutely no reason why she should be afforded anything for the royal family. And I think that you look at her career and it's certainly be in tatters now because of her own relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
If Andrew is no longer able to offer housing or financial stability, Sarah's incentive to remain closely linked to him diminishes significantly. Still, the report is careful to note uncertainty. No timeline has been given. No official confirmation has been made by Sarah Ferguson herself, and sources caution that whatever is happening publicly may not reflect what is happening privately. But it also raises a harder question, and it's one many royal watchers are already asking. What does this say about Sarah herself? She never felt the need to distance herself before, not during the worst years of Andrew's scandals, and not even when his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein became impossible to ignore.
Sarah Ferguson is tipped to take part in a bombshell interview. The ex-Duchess is said to have an appetite for revenge. She's reportedly not happy with King Charles's decision to evict her and her ex-husband Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from Royal Lodge, of course.
Through all of that, she stayed close, supportive, and very much present. Yet, now, when the financial security appears to be gone, that is when the line is finally drawn. To some, that timing feels less like principle and more like convenience. Sarah has a long and complicated history when it comes to money, and that history has followed her for decades. From past debts to business ventures that raised eyebrows, finances have often played an outsized role in her decision-making. For critics, this latest move fits an uncomfortable pattern, one where loyalty seems strongest when the benefits are still flowing.
But no, she's certainly not happy. She's lived there for a long time, this 30-room royal lodge that we talked about. They're going to be hoofed out. I predict it's obviously going to be after Christmas now. There's discussions of where she may move next, and we've talked about that. But clearly money's going to be an issue. It always has been with Fergie. Make
sure you hit that subscribe button, because I've got a special video coming tomorrow that you absolutely won't want to miss. Whether that is a fair assessment or not, it is a narrative that is resurfacing, and one Sarah may find difficult to shake this time around. There's also been fresh reporting on exactly what will happen with Sarah Ferguson's living arrangements, now that she and Andrew have to vacate Royal Lodge. Sources say the deadline to leave the Windsor residence is right around the end of January, and that she will not be moving with Andrew to his new home on the Sandringham estate.
About various things. This is the problem with Epstein. She had to borrow money from him, the £15,000 to pay somebody off. And that's as a result of all the sort of email leaks and so on and so forth. But she's in a terrible state at the moment, not least both mentally, which is awful, but also financially.
Instead, she is said to be weighing several different options for where she might establish her own household, including looking at properties in the Windsor area, or even temporarily staying with family while she decides on something more permanent. Some reports go even further, suggesting she may already have left Royal Lodge or could soon follow her younger daughter, Princess Eugenie, to Portugal. Eugenie, her husband Jack Brooksbank, and their 2 sons spend a good deal of time there, other insiders have echoed that she wants a clean break geographically as well as socially. None of these plans have been confirmed by Sarah herself, and it remains unclear whether she is signed on a new home yet or is still actively searching.
For what she is alleged to have done in these Epstein files, she's now lost, I think, all of her charities or anything that she's, been attached to. No one wants anything to do with her. Books being pulped and the like.
For critics, the idea of Sarah doing a tell-all interview after years of silence fits perfectly with the timing of her break from Andrew. It suggests that loyalty was conditional, that support lasted only as long as the arrangement was mutually beneficial, and that now, with Andrew unable to provide financial stability or housing, Sarah is looking for new sources of income and relevance. Whether that assessment is fair or harsh, it reflects a view held by many who have watched Sarah navigate scandal, debt, and controversy for decades. This story could signal a genuine shift within the family, or it could be a temporary distancing designed to protect appearances while maintaining quiet contact. Royal watchers have seen similar moves before, especially when pressure reaches a tipping point. Whether this is coincidence or coordination remains unclear, but for the first time in years, the narrative around Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew appears to be changing, and not in his favor.
When you said about an interview with Oprah Winfrey, then I thought, no, actually, that is completely possible. That's exactly what's going to happen. And she, Fergie, greedy little piglet, she absolutely loves the coin, doesn't she? So if somebody threw a few quid at her, she would do that.
About her lifestyle, this is absolutely mad.
Years before this sudden break came to light, there were warning signs visible to those who paid attention. Financial troubles, questionable business ventures, and a pattern of decisions that seemed driven more by necessity than principle. Those who observed Sarah's relationship with Andrew over the years immediately noticed traits that were troubling: a willingness to overlook scandal when it suited her, a reluctance to distance herself when it might have been the right thing to do. These observations were more than just casual judgments. They now read almost like prophetic warnings. According to those familiar with her history, Sarah appeared unable to make decisions that weren't influenced by financial considerations, a trait that would prove to define her choices again and again.
Especially when it comes to Fergie, we're hearing reports that she's taking it hard. I think that her identity was tied up in being Duchess of York. She had that title since her wedding day, and the loss of it allegedly was just devastated her.
Fast forward to now, and observers see just how true those early assessments were. The sudden break from Andrew would bring Sarah's motives into sharp focus, and the timing, coinciding with the loss of royal lodge and financial security, would expose what critics argue has always been true about her: loyalty. But long before this break emerged, Sarah had already displayed a pattern of calculated positioning, selective loyalty, and decisions that seemed to align with her own interests rather than moral clarity. When we examine this sudden distancing alongside the wider context of Sarah Ferguson's history, it becomes clear that this move fits a recognizable pattern, one where support is conditional, loyalty is transactional, and principle takes a backseat to survival.
She is as complicit as Andrew in this. This is the most, I think this is some of the worst stuff the royal family has ever had to deal with, by a mile.
So when you look at Sarah Ferguson's sudden break from Andrew and the timing of it, coming right as the financial benefits disappear and the tell-all interview offers appear, do you see a woman finally taking a moral stand, or do you see the same pattern repeating itself yet again? The claims are consistent. The timing is suspicious, and the questions refuse to fade.